He then planned to climb the mountain alone, and in doing so, to become the first person ever to reach its summit, the highest place on Earth. The idea was mad, any way you looked at it. No climber from 4 separate official British expeditions, the first in 1921 and the latest only the previous year, in 1933, had reached the summit of Everest. Those parties comprised the best alpinists of their generation and were supported by teams of porters carrying bountiful supplies. The odds of a novice such as Wilson succeeding where those missions had failed were vanishingly long, as every pundit had told him. But Wilson was not interested in expert opinion. Otherwise, he would have turned back long ago. He was interested in the power of human will and the motions of the soul. Everest was a job he felt was within him. Wilson had been expressly forbidden by the British authorities, both in India and at home in England, to make the journey. The Tibetan government had not given him permission to enter their kingdom, and the British were anxious to avoid a diplomatic incident. If Wilson was discovered at any point on his trek, he would be arrested. He knew he was in most danger of apprehension on the first part of his journey, out of Darjeeling and through the British protectorate of Sikkim, with its leech-infested rivers, verdant forests, and sparkling waterfalls. For that reason, he had paid his hotel bill 6 months in advance to throw the police off the scent. He also planned to leave Darjeeling at midnight in disguise as a Tibetan priest. Wilson had hired 3 Bhutias, Sikkimese men of Tibetan ancestry, to accompany him to Everest. The most senior of them, an experienced climber and porter named Tsering, helped him into his outfit. The disguise was dazzling. A Chinese brocaded waistcoat in gold, with gold buttons at the side, which Wilson thought made him look like a circus trainer. Dark blue cotton slacks, a bright red silk girdle. To finish the look, Wilson wore a fur-lined Bhutia hat with large ear flaps to cover his white man's hair, dark glasses to hide his white man's eyes, and he carried a decorative umbrella. Somewhat ruining the effect, he also wore a pair of hobnail boots, huge, high, heavy items with nails driven into the soles for extra grip. A ludicrous outfit. Wilson loved it. He and Tsering had laughed themselves silly when Wilson first tried on the disguise. Before Wilson left the hotel, he wrote a final letter to Enid Evans, his soulmate, and the only person who believed from the very beginning of the adventure that Wilson would succeed in reaching and climbing Everest. Enid was slim, winsome, brown-haired, stylish, vivacious, and married. Wilson was cripplingly in love with her, and not just because of her faith in his mission. She, too, was enraptured by the ebullient adventurer and his wild stories. Recently, their affair had flourished in letters. Now, Wilson was leaving Darjeeling. With no more opportunities to send mail before his climb on Everest, he wrote to Enid for a final time, telling her about his beautiful, absurd outfit and about when he might return from the mountain. He wrote that she would be with him, in his thoughts, the whole way. Before he signed off, he told Enid if she were with him, "I might let you kiss me." With his letter finished and addressed, Wilson made his final preparations. He carried with him much of his climbing equipment, disguised in what looked like bags of wheat. He had also sewn many pockets into his outfit. In one, he placed a small emerald